What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little. Big Nick, the Quick, the GOAT. You already know is with me on the road, just grinding away, man. Look,
Living
all
on a
over the country. You know
suitcase.
what I'm saying? Getting to the
Mm-hmm.
bag. You already know what it is. But the NBA is back. We're breaking it all down. We're going to talk NBA Night One recap, East, West, top predictions. We got our favorite MVP dark horses. I don't know how dark the horses are, but I think though there's a couple of those we could pull off that'll be pretty fun to talk about. Big Nick the Quick thought of a great idea. Love, hate, rookie extensions. We'll talk about that. Then we'll get into, the New York Pulse, how I'm feeling living in New York, hearing about the Knicks and Nets. What are they talking about? I actually work at the Garden, so I got a little inside access over there. We can talk about that. Bulls, of course. No Lonzo. Are we doomed? NFL Week 7 on the horizon. Lot to talk about. Stay with us. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's go.
Man, look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick, what's good?
How we feeling?
Man, what
Wednesday edition.
Wednesday edition, man. Nick the Quick,
Yeah.
was working. I should have sent out a tweet. I forgot. I apologize. But we're here. This will be up by roughly 9 a.m. NBA week, not week one, opening night, day one, night one. A lot of festivities going on.
It's the real opening night.
Whether it be in Boston, whether it be in San Francisco, banners were hung. Love was shown for Mr. Russell. What'd you think about? Let's start right there. We got a lot to talk about. We're about to run off a quick hour. Easy. I already know how this goes. How'd you feel? First of all, the TNT boys are back.
Yep.
I don't know who booked
big money.
I don't know who booked Doechii. Or I think that was what her name was. D.O.
Yeah.
Yo. We officially over the hill, bro. She came on and I was like, this is not it in any way, shape, or form. But hey, apparently she signed to TDE. I was like, what?
Shout out Top Dog in the
Yeah, Top Dog in the I was like, this is I'm out the loop. I'm completely and all the way washed out.
She was the poet?
No, she was the pregame performer on TNT, like
like a music,
I guest.
I think I missed the music guest.
Yeah. You didn't miss much, my boy.
I didn't miss much.
Weak, dog.
Hey man, look, you get to a certain age, man. You like what you like. Look, man. First off, I'm happy the TNT boys are back. I don't know if you saw, they said Chuck got 10 years, $200 million on his new deal.
You talking about Mr. Barkley?
Mr. Barkley at the bank. He said last night. He goes, they still call you Mr. Barkley at the bank. He's like, shit, now, yeah. He's like, and you better stand up when I walk in. So shout out them, man. It's crazy, and I put it in the group chat. But all these cats need to thank Romo, man. Romo made the TV money go crazy.
I don't know about that. They might have to think they got them to look at, dude. They were the first guy. Like Romo was really on there just being himself. Yeah, and those were truly the first dudes that were on there being completely themselves, having fun with the whole thing.
But the whole $20 million a year type thing. Remember Romo got that deal from CBS?
Yeah.
And everybody started, like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman had to go to ESPN get their money. So
that's an expensive table.
Very expensive table. Yeah.
No question.
It's the best table in sports. Has been for 20 years.
It's not even close either.
Not even close. They put on, but you can hate the NBA, and it's the best, by far the best sports show programming on television. Like sometimes I'll record inside the NBA and just watch in the morning as like my thing that I watch, because those guys just do a great job. So it was great to see those guys back together. Stop putting people on small tables. We got to stop putting 4 people on small tables, especially when 2 of those guys are like pushing 300 pounds between Chuck and Shaq. I thought that
pushing
was
3.
Yeah, well over 3. Shaq is well over 3.
Pushing 3.
Yeah, exactly. You got 700 pounds of man right there on these little tight boots. But other than that, man, it was great to see the boys come back. As far as the pregame festivities, should we talk about the procession in Boston? The Bill Russell revival?
Sure.
We had a wild. First off, man, shout out Bill Russell, the legend. I don't even think we got the chance to talk about Bill Russell when he passed away. Obviously, very influential guy on and off the court. Did a lot for the community. So this is in no way meant to downplay Bill Russell or his legacies or achievements. But oh my God, have you ever seen anything like that in a basketball game before?
I've never in my life. We're typically on the cynical side of a lot of that stuff. Like, all right, I understand. There's numbers on the court. Multiple spots. Is it a Poets, like, is it part of the Poets culture to make it as hard for me to follow what you're saying as possible?
Yeah.
Is that like part of like the game of, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the sports betting game very heavy. Like I understand like a lot of that stuff seems very confusing, and why is this could be so much easier to follow, et cetera, if you just did this or did that. Is every time I listen to someone giving a poem like that, I'm like, this is too hard to follow, bro.
Where are we?
It's literally a riddle every fucking 5 seconds. I'm like trying to break down everything that she's saying, and she's like 3 or 4 bars up the road, and I'm just catching a bar from like
she's
4
up here. He's still right here.
Yeah, it's like maybe my mental capacity is just not high enough, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there was for one of the closing to the opening ceremony for Bill Russell, a poet gave a lovely, I guess, poem about Bill and, you know, him not being just a hooper and him impacting, you know, the community and the Black culture. And it was awesome, but it was just so hard to follow that I literally had to go back. I was like pausing. I'm like, I'm trying to catch it. It's like listening to Twister. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this shit was crazy.
You won 100,000. You won 100,001, and
exactly.
Like I said, it was great. It was just very long, and I put it in the group chat last night. That's the blackest thing that's ever happened in Boston. I can tell you that. Right. There are a lot of folks in there. By the end of that, they were getting very uncomfortable. Like she's putting fists up.
Yeah,
you know, she's talking about equality and all that. Yeah, there's some Tommy O'Shaughnessy's in there that weren't feeling that. You know what I mean? They weren't going for that. Like, hold on. We love Bill Russell too, but stay in line. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then they had Alan Black come in and close out the whole thing. It was like a three-part tribute to Bill Russell. And I was not expecting that. I'll put it that way. I thought that maybe they'd do a little something, but not an entire production. But hey, opening night, you got to do what you got to do. They have some other things they maybe wanted some distractions from. So maybe Boston Celtics were just like, yeah, let's make this a huge production, so we don't got to focus on Ime. Yeah,
I mean, on the East Coast, the second game ended at like 1:30.
Yeah.
If you watched Inside the NBA after, you was going to see like 2:15. So like, yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on before the games. But let's get to the games. Game number 1, Boston hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Now I'm gonna tell you what I said going into the game. On TV, I picked the Sixers plus 3.5. I didn't bet the game. That was the lean I had. A lot of sharp money was on Philly as well. My whole thing was no Robert Williams, Time Lord. Joel should score 30. He had scored 30 in 7 of 10 against them in his last 10 matchups. His over-under total was 27.5. He got off to a slow start, and he ended up scoring 26. But he wasn't as dominant as I thought he would be, and I didn't think he affected the game like I thought he would, especially early on as they figured out. And he had them in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Grant Williams picked up a couple early. Horford picked up a couple, and they still weren't able. They just couldn't overcome Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just pouring buckets in constant pressure throughout the game. What'd you think of tilt number 1? James Harden looks like he's up to his old tricks, back at living at the free throw line.
That's my takeaway.
Yeah,
That's my takeaway right there. So yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, right? You would expect, and I even put this out there. There was a lot of Noah Vonleh action going on with no time for it. So there are 2 bigs that Boston was running were Horford and Vonleh. And you would think under normal circumstances, Joel Embiid's going to go off for 40 in a game like that, especially when you got Harden going for 35. Like if you had told me Harden's going for 35, I don't even need to see the Joel stat line to be like, all right, cool, the Sixers are going to win this one. But yeah, 70 points from Brown and Tatum absolutely killed him in the third quarter. Game was tied at half.
Both
I
games,
think both games tied at half. I think they outscored them by 10 in the third quarter and just never really looked back. So it's game one. Obviously, it's early, man. We know Joel. If there's ever a guy that brings it all the time and has that quote unquote dog in him, which, that term is getting crazy overused at this point, but he is that guy, right? So the biggest takeaway from that game for me was, okay, James, he came in looking slim, showed up in the arena in the very comfy fit. You know what I mean? Reciting the lyrics. He was feeling himself. He had the Louis bag, the new Louis bag that no one's seen yet. I think I'm fine with where Philly's at. I even said after that ceremony, like, no bullshit, there was no way Boston was going to lose because the energy in the arena was crazy. They were amped up. It's the home opener. Season ended disappointing last year. It was good to see Tatum be aggressive, especially after some of the things that we saw in the finals last year in some of those third and fourth or second halves. But I'm not ready to sound the alarm in Philly. You did point out one thing that was interesting. 24 seconds for Matisse Thybulle. That's it.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Checked in and checked out. And this is a guy who is playing for an extension. So we're going to get into these rookie extensions later, but this is a guy who is playing for an extension. Obviously a tough player to kind of peg because he's a great defender, but cannot do too much on offense. I think that was especially when you're getting cooked by two wing players.
That was just what I was about to say. Literally, two of the best wings in the league are destroying you, and you literally went out and got the guys to slow those guys up. You got PJ. You went and got PJ, added him to the roster. Then you got Thybulle, who doesn't play, but all these guys are running wild. And then it came out right before the game, or maybe even earlier in the week, like Monday, that Thybulle, they couldn't come to an agreement on an extension.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, he comes out in night one and it gets DNP'd.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, he checked in for some bullshit.
It's almost like they checked him in so a DNP wouldn't go on his game log, but that's what it was. He didn't play. DNP for Thybulle. I thought that was extremely interesting, especially with those guys running wild. Listen, Philly's going to have to figure out their bench of some sort because it was absolutely – it just wasn't there. There was nothing on the bench. Montrez, I don't know what happened to.
Hired gun Montrez Harrell.
Yeah. I don't know. He just doesn't make an impact whatsoever. They went and got DeAnthony Melton. He didn't do anything. He played 20+ minutes and basically was a zero. He had a couple buckets, but
Daniel House, who got kicked out the bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Harden, 9 of 14, 5 of 9 from three. Maxey shoots 50% from the field, 2 of 5 from three. Embiid, the only thing, he shot 50% from the field, 1 of 6 from three. No reason he needs to be taking 6 threes.
6 threes is a bit much.
Especially with Time Lord and foul trouble.
And when there's no size, they prefer him to take those threes. Boston had no problem with Joel Embiid teeing up threes. Even if he's hitting them, it's better than him going down low and absolutely demolishing us and realizing that he can just, feast on our smaller bigs.
Yeah, so if you watched the game, you saw the Philly came out strong in the first quarter, looked really good. Harden was getting to the line. He had 35, Maxey had 21, Embiid had 26, Tobias had 18. Really quick on Tobias Harris. He is going to get so many open looks. It's going to be insane. From on a 1 through 4, if you go, you're going to go Harden, Maxey, Embiid, and then Tobias is essentially the fourth best player on the team and on the fourth option when they're looking for baskets. You have to produce in that spot. You have to be very efficient. You have to be knocking down a lot of open jumpers. He has an extremely easy job.
But that's been the issue the last couple of years with him. He disappears when they need him the most, and it's always been the third or fourth role.
But it's even easier now with how Maxey looks and how dominant. And he's even going to get more space because PJ is going to be standing in the corner. Tobias Harris is going to be getting free, easy looks all year. He needs to be crazy efficient and knock those down. But it was the bench, man. They had 11 bench points between Niang, Melton, and the rest of the crew. Meanwhile, Boston had 34.
And the thing with that bench for Philly is, I guess when I said don't have a concern, that's a good point. Does does that get better, right? Because on paper, it's a shitty bench. It's not like these guys had a bad game. On paper, it's a shitty bench, right?
You don't like Niang?
Hey, I told you, but Niang got the strapper.
Niang got the strap.
Niang and Korkmaz got the strapper, but those guys, you can't necessarily rely on those guys all the time. They're fine, but then you look at Melton, Daniel House Jr., Harrell, we already talked about. Like it's not necessarily like you got a murderer's row over there coming off the bench, which means you're going to rely heavily on James, who, I mean, the long time rap on James is he was generally always healthy. Last couple of years, again, I said it. James was checked out the last couple of years. Let's just throw it away. If James isn't feeling the situation, he's not the type of guy that's going to show up and play hard. So,
and then even when the bench isn't producing, Thybulle's still on the bench. No rotations were really tried. I mean, it's game one, right? They're going to have to make some type of adjustments, but yeah, the bench was non-existent, and the big boys scored. If you're going to tell me you're going to get almost, what is this, 20, 40, 47, so that's 70, it's almost 90 plus points from the top four guys. You have to, you can't lose by 9 points. You can't almost lose by double digits. So we'll see how that goes.
Which is surprising considering that they moved a quote-unquote superstar last year. It doesn't seem like they have any remnants of that trade left on their roster.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like that.
Not at all. Yeah, so.
Superstar used loosely. We're going to see how he looks.
They had to give up Seth Curry in that deal. The more I think about that shit is absolutely asinine. Yeah. Babyface gangster.
Yes, Seth is. I'm looking forward. We'll talk about that. I'm looking forward to the Nets too. All right. Before we move off this game, anything else on Boston?
No.
Okay. Hey, they look good, man. I know a lot of people were talking about them taking a step back. Their opening win total was 56.5. It closed at 53.5 to start the season. So that was going down. A lot of distractions off the court. We know about Ime. You know, is their bench deep enough? Because who's on their bench? You know what I'm saying? Grant Williams, who played well. Brogdon was obviously the big
addition. I like that. And I love Brogdon in that backup ball handler role. That's what you were asking them for last year. You wanted them to bring in another point guard, someone who could relieve Smart of ball handling duties when the going gets tough, and he's not necessarily in that role. And I thought Smart was good last night. I think he's been good overall. But to your point, and you were all about this, they just needed another ball handler last year. They need another guy that can kind of take that pressure off. So I love the Brogdon trade for them. And I think he had a good night.
And he had a good night, 7-11.
And you can use him all over the place. So
yeah, exactly. So okay, so then we go from the East Coast to the West Coast. San Francisco, they raised the banner for all the negative talk around these guys and the Draymond shit and Poole getting punched in the face. They look like a happy-go-lucky group to me. I don't know how you felt about it, but the ring ceremony was all smiles. People were jumping around. Everyone was dapping up. The interactions between Jordan and Draymond were fine. Clay seemed happy. Steve seemed his same self, just kind of sitting there, mug face. Didn't really say too much. It looked like business as usual. They outscored the Lakers 32-19 in the third quarter. That's what they've been doing to people for the last decade. Everything looked very, very, very jolly in San Francisco. They beat the Lakers 123-109. Never really close at any point in the game, to be completely honest. If you watch the full tilt, I turned it off in the fourth. It was over. And they never really were in the game. LeBron looks sensational.
Yep.
Anthony Davis looked really good. This is another team that has no bench, no shooting.
No shooting
whatsoever.
Like no remnants of shooting the basketball.
Jump shooters.
Yeah.
In the league
not important.
Full of jump shooters. So that's the key right now in LA. Pat Beverly was running around fooling people.
Things. Yeah, Pat Beverly fooling y'all.
So what'd you think about the game? What do you think about the Warriors? Hey, listen, for those who missed it, I know it's only game one, but Nick said this might be the year the Golden State Warriors take a little bit of a step back. Lakers might have been, what the doctor asked for in game one.
100%.
Golden State looked very good.
Don't get fooled by the marquee matchup. Don't get fooled by the fact that this is who the NBA put on number one. I would like to know the last time a team that didn't make the playoffs had an opening night as far as one of those two games on that NBA opening Tuesday. So that was 100% Lakers shit. But like you said, they played against a team that's not very good, a team that I don't believe in. I don't think you believe in the Lakers. I don't think anyone's excited about this Lakers ball club. Yes, LeBron's awesome. Yes, Anthony Davis, when he plays, is awesome, but that team has major question marks. They don't shoot well. They turn the ball over left and right. Just not very inspiring bunch. But I will say this, hey, man, it was a classic Steph game. Steph was doing his thing. I think he finished with 33. And they look good. They played exactly how I expected them to play tonight. I had actually heard something the other day where someone was like, oh, fade the Warriors on ring night. They're not going to have it. It's, usually teams on ring night, it could be an emotional experience. I'm like, this is their third.
They're used to this. You said,
yeah, third or fourth. Was it four rings they got?
They have 4 rings. Yeah, Steph, Clay, and Draymond have 4.
Have 4. Yeah, these guys know what they're doing. This is not their first rodeo. I do believe that those issues with Poole and Draymond are 100% going to resurface. The way that he hit him, look, man. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, teammates fight all the time." That's not a fight, bro. That was a cock back and literally stole off dude. Like, let's keep it what it is, right? Like, so I think there's no way Jordan Poole just moves on from that and forgets it, especially now he's $130 million richer. So I think that those type of things can come back. I think that age can catch up to him. This is an older roster. They had a deep playoff run, obviously, last year, going to the finals, winning the championship. And I just think it's hard to go back to back. And I think there is going to be a point where they're going to run into some issues. So I think for them, man, like the most important players on their roster this year are outside of Steph, Clay, Draymond, right, are Poole and Wiggins. Because there are going to be stretches throughout the season where those guys are going to have to be awesome to carry this team. Because you're relying on the other 3 guys. And I think Draymond is cooked, if we want to call it. Well, I think he was cooked last year. There's just going to be, those guys are going to have to step up major. So if Poole steps up and does some of the things that we saw last year at a higher level, some of the things that we saw in the playoffs, I think they'll be fine. But that's I think where their future is going to lie as far as this team is concerned for this year. But good way to start the night. Never be mad about a double-digit win to start the season.
So you're still essentially what you're saying is you still feel like they're going to taper off.
I'm a bit dubious on that team. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be terrible. Yeah. Right. Like, and I want that to be clear. Like, I don't think it's going to be a bad team, but if people think the Warriors are going to come out here and win 60 games, I just don't think that that's in the cards this year. And I don't think they're going to try to do that. If you're Kerr, you got to kind of try to manage these guys. Last year was such an emotional, like, we want to prove to everybody that we can do it again. We had been knocked off that mountaintop for a couple years. We had a bunch of injured players. We got a bunch of guys coming back. Steph was on the sidelines. Clay missed the better part of 2 seasons. So I think last year they were just so fired up to kind of show that. And I don't know where that external motivation comes from this year that's going to carry you through some of those situations.
Okay.
But I'm not counting out the Warriors, but they look very good.
Yeah.
All that to say they look very good.
They looked really good last night. And, they got DiVincenzo, who's fully back now. He played last night. We got Wiseman. We'll see what that comes of. Everybody loves Kuminga. He doesn't show me too much. Everybody loves that dude. Every time his name comes up, they're like, oh, my Kuminga, get him in the game. Yeah. It's like every time I see this guy, he doesn't do too much for me, but we'll see. He
does get a lot of love.
Oh my God, he gets so much love.
A lot of love. They're like, they got Kuminga back.
And they got Kuminga, too.
Kuminga was healthy in the finals and they didn't play him. So when in the finals, they were at a deficit for size. Like they needed big guys that could do things. Yeah, Kuminga didn't even play. Yeah, let's chill on the Kuminga thing. Yeah.
Every time I hear his name, it's like, oh yeah, and they got Kuminga. It's like, yeah. Yeah,
Wiggins gave him a dub. Shout out, Andrew. Wiggins got his money, got another contract. What a year!
Wiggins is completely in a perfect everything for him.
Yeah,
he is thriving. He doesn't have to do the interviews. He just shows up, plays D now, comes downhill on screens, hits pull-up jumpers. He doesn't have to worry. It seems like all the external shit. Go ahead. Let Draymond do the podcast. Let Steph do the post-game interviews. Me and Clay will kick it and smoke tree in the back and pull up and score, have 17, 9, and 8 every night. Like I don't like it's he's in such a perfect situation now that it's awesome for him. He played 29 minutes last night. He's gonna play that number every night. He's never gonna play 40 minutes. He's just in an amazing situation, and it's gonna revitalize his career. There's no questions anymore.
What a turn! If you had told me that Andrew Wiggins was going to sign another $100 million deal in his lifetime, I would have told you were crazy.
100%, man.
So yeah, ideal spot, ideal landing spot, ideal role too. Like
ideal role, yeah, all that stuff.
And I think you hit it on the head, man. Like a lot of people, look, man, you come in as the number one pick. There's a lot of expectation, and a lot of dudes can't handle that. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? Like, there's a lot of players that just can't necessarily handle that, which is fine. It's a lot of pressure as far as that night in, night out thing. But he's in a perfect role right now. He's doing his thing. He's happy. It's no pressure. I don't have to be the man. He seems like a very low key dude. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a perfect spot for him across the board. No expectations per se. Like outside of obviously the locker room is dependent on him to do things, but outside of that, no one's really. He's just not pressed. No pressure. No pressure on him. That's really what it is. All right, let's talk about these East-West predictions. Let's jump right into it. Nick, give me your 4 in the East, and I'll give you mine.
All right, so I think the best team in the East this year is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm very, very, very high on the Milwaukee Bucks. And I don't really need to go too deep into it. Obviously, regular season, I think they're going to do a great job. Budenholzer always takes the regular season seriously. I think they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder by how things ended last year. Middleton got hurt, and they were desperately missing him in that Boston series. So I got Milwaukee, Miami. I think the Heat are going to continue what they did last year. I think they're going to get in the second spot. I got Philly, and then I got Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, Brooklyn. Not necessarily any particular order, but I think those are your top 4. Yeah.
In no particular order, give me Cleveland, Milwaukee, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Boston.
So you think Cleveland has a better record than Philly?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be extremely tight. So it's no particular order. It's going to be Cleveland was sensational last year, and then Jarrett got hurt.
Yeah.
If Mobley is that man and takes a step, and then they add because the defense they played insane D last year, right? If Donovan
with Allen and Mobley for sure.
Yeah, if Allen pulls up, or not Allen, if Mitchell pulls up and brings that's like what they need on offense, a guy like that. And Garland has showed that he could play with another guy because he already did it with Colin, right? And none of his stuff drops off. The young bull. So I kind of want to watch Utah a little bit just for that whole dumpster fire of
I told you, man. Listen. The Utah Jazz situation between Sexton and Jordan Clarkson just trading off shots and not passing is going to be amazing. Cleveland. I watched a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers basketball last year.
They're going to be good, man.
The one thing that always stuck out about that basketball team is they just need another scorer, right? Like it was a lot for Garland to shoulder that scoring load and the playmaking load every single night. So you bring in Mitchell, and that's a guy that's pretty much all he's interested in doing is scoring the basketball. It looks like it's going to work out pretty nice. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're top 4, but it's still a pretty young team, and you're relying on a lot of guys that haven't necessarily gotten it done before at that level. So I still feel more comfortable with Philly finishing with a better record. But I don't want to see Cleveland. And I know we see Cleveland on Saturday. So
on Saturday, yes, sir. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
But I love that move. I love the Mitchell move when it happened, and I love Cleveland rolling the dice on a trade like that. Like they have a good roster. You got good young players. You need another scorer. And one of the better scorers in the NBA was available. Go get him. And I have issues with Mitchell's game, but for what they do, it's perfect, man. I love it.
For what they do, and maybe they'll even get him to buy in a little bit on the defensive end. Maybe
there might not have been a better fit around the league for him, honestly. I mean, I know Cleveland isn't glamorous. When you're rich, doesn't really matter. But you can make it what you want to.
He said, "Fly it in, huh?
Yeah,
Whatever you need, pull it up."
Exactly. DoorDash
Go holler at Miles. Miles Garrett got some things for you.
Yeah, exactly, man. There's some things out there. You can find it everywhere. But anyway, so yeah, I love that, man. I love that move, and I think it's a perfect role for him. So I like that. I'm surprised he took Cleveland with the 4 spot though.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about Milwaukee, obviously Giannis is just so difficult to deal with. A huge problem across the board. But we got a lot of guys on that roster that they're starting to get up there, and Giannis is masking a lot of
for sure
of their, like, Lopez is getting older. Talk to me about Wes Matthews is playing a lot of minutes.
The immortal Wes Matthews, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Wes pulling out the arrow. Still pulling out the arrow. Like, so that's what. Hold on, let me pull up their roster really quick, because I was just thinking about that. I'm like,
I don't think they really made any moves over the offseason.
Yeah, like George Hill is 100. Pat Connaughton is Pat Connaughton played really well last year.
Is Thanasis still on the roster? Shout out to Thanasis, man.
Thanasis
gave me the greatest minute and a half ever.
Yeah, so
what a spot,
dude. Like, listen to this. Wes Matthews is 36. They got Ingles on the roster, 35 when he gets back. Serge, 30. Serge is only 33.
That is great. What?
Serge, if you would have asked me how old Serge was,
39.
He's fucking 38 minimum.
I was Serge only 33. He's an old 33.
Serge Ibaka is 33, so I guess that's maybe they're younger than I thought. George Hill's 36. So like a lot of these guys Giannis is just such a force.
Yeah,
that it's like, man, God forbid they got, and of course they got Bobby, who's 27. They didn't make really any changes.
No, they didn't. Well, I think if you're them, you're like, the only issue that we had was that Middleton got hurt. That was it. Yeah. You can point to the Middleton injury, and that's why you didn't beat Boston. So for them, I don't know how much room they really had to make a ton of moves, but stay healthy.
And as long as you catch Middleton so he's 1 game on, 1 game off. So if you catch him on the
that's
right,
Sean's guy.
if you catch him on the right day, you can just, you know what I'm saying? You can
that's
catch
your
him
guy.
on away games or something.
Hey,
Middleton will do what he needs to do. You know what I'm saying?
Big money Middleton.
So yeah, those are our 4 in the East. I got Boston, Cleveland in no particular order. I have the Nets, and then who was my 4th? Boston, Cleveland, the Nets,
and the Bucks.
The Bucks. That's my 4.
Yeah,
What are your 4?
You left out the Sixers. The only different thing I had the Sixers, the Nets, the Bucks, and the
Celtics.
So, all right, moving out west.
Yep.
You ready for this? And I think you're on this too.
Yeah,
I already know who's not going to be in the top 4.
Okay,
but I'm going to give you Dallas, Denver, Memphis, and Dallas, Denver, Memphis, and the Clippers.
Yeah,
I'm high on the Clippers this year. I think Kawhi took a sabbatical. You know what I mean? He needed a couple of years to get his mind right. He's like, all right, I'm ready now. And you know when Kawhi plays, what the deal is, man. I'm not worried about that at all. I think Paul George has been doing his best to kind of hold it down the last couple of years. But obviously the surprise that the Suns are out of the top 5. These teams have the best record in the Western Conference over the last 2 years. I tweeted last night, there's nothing but bad juju around that team. It's all bad. The vibes are terrible. The owner has to force to sell the team. DeAndre Ayton, after signing extension,
I don't think the owner thing is a big deal. I think it's a bigger deal that Chris is getting older.
But that sends reverberations throughout the organization, though.
Yeah, but they have a center that doesn't want to be there. Is more of a bigger deal. Like,
literally got $100 million and doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. And then the guy that wanted a deal, Cam Johnson, didn't get one. Then the guy that didn't want a deal got one. Yeah, there's a couple things.
Yeah. And then it's another year older for Chris Paul, which eventually this thing is going to catch up to him. I think Booker's phenomenal, but I don't think he can do it on his own. I just think the vibes That team's window is closed.
Yeah.
It was great for the last couple
it's tough
years.
to say that, but everybody's down on them. I'm interested to see how they come out in the first half of the year.
Well, the way the year ended, I mean, team laid down.
They at home.
In the game 7.
You know what? This might sound kind of funny. I don't know if laid down is the right word because Dallas got out on them and in front of them so quickly that it was like, what the fuck just happened? It wasn't like they folded late and disappeared. The game just got so out of hand that they just never could get back. But yeah, they didn't show up in a massive spot. I'm going to give you my 4. I'm also on Dallas. We were just talking about the Lakers and LeBron and those guys running around with no shooters. Well, Luka got shooters, and he got them all over the place. So,
hey, is your boy still there? Reggie's still there, right?
Reggie Bullock? Yeah, that boy got trigger. What? Quick trigger, Reggie? Yeah, Reggie in there, boy. He got shooters off. They literally have Jason Kidd is running 3-and-D, and Luka has the ball usage rate 40%.
For sure.
That's all they're going to do. Yep. It's the same thing they did last year. And you already saw they were a threat. They had a chance to go to the finals last year. They were really good. So I like that they picked up JaVale McGee to the rim run big.
Excuse me, who?
3-time champion JaVale McGee.
Who? 3-time champion and NBA gold medalist.
Oh, an NBA gold medalist, JaVale McGee.
Olympic gold medalist, JaVale McGee. Put some respect on that man's name.
Correct. My fault.
It's like Marvin Hagler.
They added 3x JaVale McGee and gold medalist JaVale McGee. They get 3x JaVale McGee. So they add him. Tim Hardaway comes back.
Yep.
They got an offensive, and they somehow. It's so funny we're talking about them shooting the 3 and playing offense, but they're also one of the best defensive teams in the league. They
added a big too, right? They needed a big. Who did they add?
They added JaVale
and
someone else. Oh, Christian Wood.
Yeah, Christian Wood. Yeah,
they added Christian Wood. He'll be coming off the bench. So yeah, they're interesting. I like Dallas to be top 4. Give me Golden State, Dallas. Give me Golden State, Dallas, Denver, and the Clippers. I think I'm with you as well. I really want to put. You know what?
I had the Grizzlies over Golden State. I can't believe I just picked the Warriors to finish 5th in the West, but yeah.
I got Golden State, Dallas, Denver, and the Clippers. And I think I'm gonna push Memphis down to 6, and I'm gonna add the New Orleans Pelicans at 5. Now, I am in love with the New Orleans Pelicans. I love them across the board. Zion's going to come in. Zion is literally 25 plus points in his sleep.
For sure.
That's it. That's all. Zion's going to score. McCollum's going to score. B.I. Brandon Ingram is going to score. Did you see someone made a B.I. compilation with the Kobe shit?
Yes. That was very funny. And it was great too. But that
someone
was awesome.
Whoever, if you don't know what we're talking about, you know how on Twitter they do or people do compilations of like one player doesn't move, but it looks like someone else, and they like morph them into another video. They did a BI essentially mimicking Kobe, and it was pretty fucking. It was
great. Yeah,
but
man, what do people do before
BI's going to score? CJ's going to score.
Yeah,
and then Jonas is going to rebound. Herb Jones is going to play the defense.
Valanciunas is another one of the Sean Little All-Stars, right?
Love him. One of my favorite players in the NBA, Jonas Valanciunas.
We got to do that segment, the Sean Little All-Stars, of just these obscure players that Sean absolutely rocks with.
He literally will be 9 of 11 in a game and have to beg for a possession.
Yeah,
can't see the ball. He'll be 10 of 10 from the floor, and he can't get another look.
You didn't mention our guy though. You didn't mention our guy.
Hold on, I'm not done.
All right.
Alvarado. Yes. Alvarado's going to come off the bench with tons and tons of energy.
Dog in that little move, and he's still going to get folks on that little move where he hangs out in the corner and swipes that joint. He just waits for you to catch him slipping.
Tuesday night in New Orleans, and you don't want to fucking see Jose Alvarado coming off the bench.
Smoothie King Center.
Absolute nightmare. It's so Dude, Chris Paul literally was elbowing this dude in the face.
Yeah.
Not was trying
he had
to
him on
fuck
full
up.
tilt. Had him on full tilt. Yeah.
So yeah, I love New Orleans. I think they're going to be really good, and they're going to be dude. Devontae Graham coming off the bench, firing away. They have a really fun roster, and if they could figure out the defensive end and get some help for Herb Jones, or if somehow Herb and Alvarado can hold it up.
Oh, Herb Jones.
Herb Jones. Oh, man,
what a defender.
Dude, yeah, so
what a defender.
I like that roster a lot.
I do too.
Memphis.
It's just a massive leap for them to get up into the fourth spot, but I really love that roster. And I'm gonna be in the fifth spot. I'm gonna be tuning into Pelicans games early and often for sure.
Yeah. So
and what are you gonna say about Memphis?
Ja's gonna be really good.
You think he was drinking too much this summer?
I think I
was slapped all summer, bro.
No comment on that. He's fine. He's
going live. He's slapped up. Him and his pops just slapped up daily.
He's good. I'm not worried about that portion.
I was posting at 9 a.m. in the bag.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was also incredibly impressive how they played when Ja wasn't there. But yeah, I love Dylan Brooks.
Let me ask you this: do you see?
Jaren Jackson Jr. being out is big.
Yeah,
to start the season.
He's always out to start the year.
Yeah, stress fracture in his foot. He's out 6+. So I think that was a big reason they got off to such a good start last year, and he's not around right now. So that'll be a few wins knocked off. That's why I got New Orleans in 5 instead of Memphis.
Is there a world where the Minnesota Timberwolves creep up into that top 5, potentially 4 spot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they have every single piece.
How do you feel about the Gobert Cat thing? Are you high on that? I mean, it's something you got to kind of see. But
no, yeah. I'm not really too pressed about it because Cat wants to play a 2 guard.
He's a wing.
So yeah, like if you watch Cat,
he's not interested.
He wants to play 2. So I was listening to someone else talk about that. It's like, yeah, I want to see how this works. I'm going to tell you how it's going to work. Gobert's going to be in the paint. Cat's going to be at the top of the key. Like that. That's how it's going to work. Cat was delighted when they went and got him. I don't have to go down and play any bigs.
I don't gotta go down there. Yeah, I don't gotta defend anybody. Yeah.
Kick me the ball out on the wing against someone that's 6'9", and I'll just shoot it. I'll just shoot jumpers all day. That's 100%. I believe how Cat's looking at it. Cat doesn't want to be down there, and that's where Gobert wants to be. So I think that'll be interesting. Will that affect Anthony Edwards? I don't know.
Hope not.
I
don't think anything affects Anthony Edwards. I think that dude is ready. But I think, back to this a little bit, just quick on Cat. Yeah, if you look at last year, one of the issues was he kept getting in foul trouble because he's such a terrible defender down there, and he was just hacking away at stuff. So
he's so bad. He's so bad on defense.
He's so bad on defense, it's ridiculous. So I think that's a good spot for him for sure.
Yeah, why not? Why can't they get to the fifth slot, dude? They got a bunch of killers. Memphis also lost Slow-Mo to
Kyle Anderson. Where is he?
Yeah, to Minnesota.
And Melton.
Yeah, exactly. They lost Anthony Melton. They lost Slow-Mo. They don't have Jaren Jackson Jr. to start the season. That could get that could be a lot of minutes or a lot of W's.
They got my guy Bane though.
Yeah, Desmond Bane will be getting up tons of threes. I think his 3-point over under is like 4.5 or some crazy shit. It's like 3.5 or something. It's like Steph Curry type of numbers. But Ja can absolutely try to go out and win the MVP award. That's actually a good transition. Let's talk about some of these award season for the NBA. What are you looking at for a dark horse for MVP? Anything else you're looking at?
Are you ready for this? Like, if we're going dark horse, we really got to go dark horse, right?
Yeah.
Zion Williamson at plus 2,000. Is there a world where you get 82 healthy games from Zion? He puts up like 39 and 7. The Pelicans are a top 4 team. is there a world where Zion, this already has hype? You know what I mean? It's not like he has to. People have to know who he is. They already know who he is. Is there a world in which Zion Williamson can win the MVP? If we're talking true dark horses at plus 2,000, I like it.
If it comes out early in the year, because right now everyone's like, the Pelicans are really good. He needs to assimilate back in, and this is Brandon Ingram's team. And listen,
You're not assimilating to nothing.
If Zion comes out and is as dominant as he can be, and he can put up 30, the key to your argument there is they don't really have a point guard. Like Brandon Ingram doesn't want to play point, right? He wants to. Him and Cat want to play do the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
Bi wants to get the ball in the wing, go to work. If Zion runs point for them essentially, and is like a point forward, like he has been and shown he can do.
Miami LeBron,
and he goes for 38 and 8, and they're a top four seed in the West. I'm going to tell you right now that plus 2,000 will be way down, and by midseason will be plus 400, 500, 600. You know
I like the
saying?
number.
So,
yeah, I like the number a lot. Yeah,
it's worth a little tequila, little bottle of whiskey.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
So I like
lunch,
that.
Little lunch.
Outside of that, there's not a ton. Like Kawhi is never going to play enough games. I think LeBron at plus 1,800 is really interesting because if the Lakers aren't any good, it's all going to be on LeBron. But that roster is just so bad. I can't see a scenario in which that happens.
To win the MVP.
Yeah, you got to win exactly.
Your regular season wins. If I had to take a guess, average regular season wins the last 20 MVPs is probably like 51.
I'm trying to think of the last guy who won it that wasn't on like a juggernaut of a team.
A top 4 team.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Giannis in there. We've got a bunch of LeBron
in there.
KD, Harden.
How many W's?
Oh, it was Russell Westbrook. It was Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, but he fucking averaged a triple-double. Like,
yeah, that was the last team where it wasn't. I think they were a fifth or a sixth seed that year that he won it. But yeah, other than that, like there's no one on here I'm really looking at that I think maybe you could find some value in Tatum at plus 1,200. But
yeah. There's the MVP is always really tough because look, Joel's now come second back-to-back years. No one's gonna I don't give a fuck if Jokic scores 55, 19, and 7. They're not gonna give him another MVP. They just won't do it, right? So I don't think that's obviously tongue in cheek.
And the
but
plus 1,000 shows that. Yeah, there's not. Yeah,
they're gonna try. They didn't want to give him the second MVP. They don't want to give him a third one. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Giannis is then back in the fold, but how focused are they going to be on winning games in the regular season? We just talked about their aging roster. Luka has all the writing to win it finally after being the favorite for the third straight year, plus 425, plus 450, depending on where you shop. So I'm not mad at that. The one play that I was looking at and talked about yesterday was Bam Adebayo DPOY at plus 700. I think that's your best value on the board for any award on the whole page.
Second last year, right?
Second last year. A lot of people think he should have won it. I love that narrative. That's always fun going into the next year that, hey, this dude got snubbed last year. Even if he doesn't have as good of a defensive year as he did last year, he'll be in the running. He has great help side defense, plays 1 through 5, rim runs, blocks, protects the paint. He does everything on defense. I read a stat yesterday, 11.7% of possessions for Miami last year, he was guarding the point guard. So he can do it all across the board, 1 through 5.
The team's going to be very good.
And the team will be solid. He'll make an impact. I just love that spot and that
that's
number.
Plus 700?
Plus 700 DPOY, Bam Adebayo.
Did you already get a taste of that?
That's what it was yesterday. I played that. That's the only future that I played that was not a total, team total.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. The other future, since we're talking futures really quick, that I really love that I played yesterday. I don't know if you could still get it or not, but the Nets to be a top 3 seed in the East. I think there's so much motivation coming out of that group. KD is still KD. Kyrie's looking for a new deal. And if We know the situation. We know the outlier. Ben Simmons, 3 of the 4 years he's been in the league, he was a monster. The narrative turned on him very sharply with the whole internet and his jump shooting, and then what happened in the playoffs. You know what happened to Ben Simmons? Let me tell you what happened to Ben Simmons. A lot of casual people were making fun of him on the internet. And then the people that are real hoop fans like us that are watching games were like, yeah, this is funny, but he makes a huge impact. Like, say what you want. He looks goofy on offense. He doesn't really want to shoot the ball, but he was still going to the bucket. He was still doing all that stuff. So
he's one of the best defenders in the NBA.
Yes, the casual 2-time first-team All-NBA out of his first 4 full seasons. So the casual on the internet was memeing him to death and making fun of him, and people were laughing because it was some funny stuff. But the real people that are watching hoops were like, yeah, but that's funny, but I would love to have this guy on my team. Oh, you don't like him? Then go ahead and put him on my favorite squad. And then the casual who was making fun of him on the internet was proved right. And then the people that are watching couldn't deny it anymore, and they kind of unified.
Yeah.
So it's like, I told you he's a bozo.
And then the whole world's against him now.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, I mean, he did just disappear in the playoffs and just pass up a dunk, and he's mental mush, and now he wants to get out of Philly, and he won't show up, and so now it's like everyone's unified. People that are making fun of him, making memes of him on the internet, and then the people that are watching hoops are like, yo, why isn't this guy hooping? What happened to him? Now everyone's on the same team, and it's Ben Simmons against everybody else. That's what happened.
I like
that's
that.
Essentially what happened to Ben Simmons, right?
Sure.
So then now, then he has a back injury. And then it got to the point where, like, does he have a back injury? Is his back really hurt? How do you get a back injury when you don't
start doubting every single thing about him? And then he doesn't do himself any favors by showing up to the arena in the loudest outfits possible.
Yes, exactly. That stuff.
Just all types of shit. Then you start hearing shit about him leaving group chats. And it becomes one of those things where it's just like a snowball effect. And no matter if the stories are true or not, it's all just getting attached to him. You know what I mean? You got the cell phone in the pocket, which he says was what did he say it was?
He said it was like, I think
it was
like
a playbook or
some shit,
or a towel or some shit. Yeah,
it was something. Yeah, something that wasn't else, anywhere close to a phone.
But it's one of those things where you enter a certain level, and it's like you'll believe anything you're going to hear at this point about Ben Simmons. So yeah, but from a pure basketball perspective, if his head is right and he's playing and he's bringing what you want him to bring to that team, he doesn't have to worry about scoring. He's playing with Kyrie and KD. They're going to handle the scoring. What he needs to do is play defense, defend multiple positions, handle the ball, and just be a versatile player. And if he can do that, that's why I like Brooklyn. I know with Brooklyn, you're betting not on the basketball, but on the personalities of those 3 guys. And I get that that's a gamble. But I think that after last year, and I think that after Kyrie not getting his money, you haven't heard shit from him. I think he realized, this shit cost me $180 million.
Yep.
So
I got to go back and get that.
I need to go back and get that. I'm going to shut up. So I think, if Simmons plays, they're in a good spot.
I think they'll be a top 3 team in the East. I think
for sure.
Just a lot of different question marks there, but I think if Ben Simmons comes out and is allowed to just play defense, which I think he will be allowed to do, I think they'll be a top 3 team in the East. So, all right, let's get over to the Knicks and the Bulls and the New York Hoops and the Chicago Hoops. I'll start. Nick said, yo, what's the pulse out there in New York around the Knicks? Let's start with the Knicks because I just talked about the Nets. Very hopeful. They spent almost $300 million on 3 guys. They signed Mitchell Robinson, who I love, by the way. I like his game a lot. He plays hard. I like Mitchell Robinson. RJ Barrett gets a big deal, gets $128 million, I believe. I think that's the final figure. And then Jalen Brunson gets $105 over 4, something of that sort. It's hopeful. The biggest problem with the Knicks last year was Julius Randle had the ball in his hands too much. He was turning it over. Simple as that. He's bringing the ball up the floor, Julius Randle.
Yeah. Like actually playing point guard.
In a Thibodeau offense.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. So Jalen Brunson's going to be able to run the show, have the ball in his hands more times than not. Julius is going to be able to mentally, that's a big pressure, a lot of pressure off the back of Julius Randle that he doesn't have to handle the ball at all. Jalen Brunson's going to handle the ball. RJ Barrett stepped into his own last year. He looked really good. I was very impressed with him. I watched a ton of him being in New York. He played really well. I think it's a major lift for them that they don't have to worry about Julius Randle literally bringing the ball across half.
And so then you're trying huge to get on the Brunson signing.
And then trying to get into an offense. I don't know if I'm huge on it. It's a good signing. They addressed some of the things that they need help with. I'm interested to see how much Jalen Brunson wants to run the show versus be the show. Does that make sense?
Do you think he might be Hollywood Brunson right now?
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm interested to see how much he wants to be the guy and fill it up rather than make the best basketball play on every possession.
Interesting. Okay.
Because if I think if he wants to be very successful, and I think the Knicks can be, the first option on offense is not him. How about that? You know what I'm saying?
Fair,
so
yeah.
I'm interested to see if he makes himself the number one option on offense or facilitates and then complements with O as well. That's where the Knicks are going to be very interesting in my eyes. I love the bench. I love Quentin Grimes. I love Quickly. Quickly is awesome. So they're gonna get guys off the bench.
What about Toppin?
I like Toppin. He's gonna run the floor. That second unit for them is a lot of fun. You know, don't let Fournier get hot.
Yeah. Fournier doesn't let Fournier get hot.
Don't let Fournier get. Hey man, I was in the building when he had 50. It was some of the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. He was pulling. He looked like Steph Curry, bro. It was insane. So he has hit or miss games. I'm interested to see how Jalen comes in the fold because he's got a few weapons. The crowd is very, very hyped up. The vibe around the Knicks is very good. I'm excited to watch them. I think they'll be solid.
Okay. So obviously, Sean's in the city getting the pulse over there. So and let me ask you this, and one of the real questions I had was, does anybody care about the Nets in New York, or is the Nets more of like an America's team type thing? Like, do you have folks out there really rocking with the Nets? Or
it really does feel like more of like people that like KD and Kyrie around the country that think they're fun to watch are the Nets fans. And then in New York,
it's not like Brooklyn's team. You live in Brooklyn, so I mean,
I live in Brooklyn. It's just there's Nets fans, but I can put it like this: I can walk. The home opener is Wednesday. I was actually thinking about going. Today's Wednesday. The home opener is tonight at Barclays against the Pelicans. Actually, I could walk over there at 7:00 and get a ticket for $60.
Yeah, right.
I'm dead serious.
In New York City?
In Brooklyn, New York. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
I couldn't walk
Easy,
up to the
so you
Garden.
can just go to the game. You couldn't walk up to the Garden and do that at all.
You can't walk up to the Garden and get in the building for less than probably $150, no matter like if you're in the skywalk. So
that's wild.
I think that's like kind of how you could look at it. So there's Nets fans and they're fun to watch, and people go over there to see KD and Kyrie, but it's a Knicks. It's Knicks. It's Knicks first for sure.
Fair.
You see how they act, man. You see how the New Yorkers act when the Knicks are good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What's the thing that they say last year? What was all the things that they say?
Bing bong?
What is it? Huh?
You talking about Bing Bong?
Bing Bong. Yeah, Bing Bong. Yeah.
Bing Bong. Yeah, man. They start going crazy. They love that.
I will 100% see a game at the Garden this year.
Yeah, that's man. Let me know.
So when I'm coming out there, I need you to line that up, man. I got to get to the Mecca. All right. Yeah. Where are you with the Bulls, man? So Bulls opener tonight, obviously. Crazy news coming out just yesterday. And whenever I hear shit like this, the day before the season starts, it's bad, right? Zach LaVine questionable tonight for the Bulls. Zoe's already out. which another injury that's just been a mystery since it happened, right? He's rehabbed, his knee feels fine. Now all of a sudden it's like we don't know if we're going to see him again. He's saying he can't even bend his leg. But the LaVine thing, man, if you look at how the year ended last year, second half of the year, he was clearly hurt, clearly lacked a lot of explosiveness. What's your level of concern with this LaVine situation and just the Bulls in general? Some things they got going on.
It's high. The level of concern is high because Zach closed the year looking poor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was purely because of his knee, right? That was the story was at the end of the year, Zach was a little run down. His knee was giving him problems. So we go into a full offseason where you could focus on getting healthy and getting your knee right.
Offseason where we heard nothing about the knee still being a problem.
You come into camp, you play a little bit, do your thing. Now that it's time to earn some of this new money you just got, because he did get the money. He was never going anywhere. We talked about that, remember?
Yeah, he was getting the money.
This was such a classic spot for a player that has not received the love he feels like he deserves from the rest of the league, that wanted to do a little free agent shit, and then he was always going to take the extra money.
Yeah.
Let me act like a free agent and tell people it's not, I want to come back to Chicago, but I'm also taking meetings. Take all the meetings, do the whole thing, enjoy the time with your lady, running around, new kid. You have a new baby, the whole thing.
Shout out, Miss LaVine.
Yeah, and then I'll take this. I'll take this extra. I'll take this
extra
New
year
Balance
and
money,
$50 million.
and then I'll take this extra $50 million. Yeah, I'm back in Chicago, and I don't have to move.
And we talked about last year. This is a guy with knee problems. He wasn't turning down the extra year and the extra bread. Not a chance.
Never.
Yeah.
So now it's time to cash in on some of that money for Bulls fans and the organization, and knee pain. Not a strain. Not a twisted knee. Not something happened. Just like wear and tear. Pain doesn't feel correct.
We don't hear about it till yesterday.
Very, very worrisome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. And I'm going to tell you this. Remember last year when Zach LaVine was playing through pain?
Yeah.
No motivation to play through pain anymore.
No. Direct deposit hit.
My knee is banged up. He's not playing. Do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing last year, and I think a lot of the talk around the Bulls was Zach LaVine didn't want to go to the basket. He didn't look as explosive, but he was still hitting tough shots. He was still playing really well with DeMar. They were still producing on O. But there was how come he doesn't look explosive? How come he's not going to the basket? But he's playing through that because he's got to play well to get a deal. That shit is over with.
Over with.
He's going to have a week where his knee is hurting. Street clothes.
Hey, Billy, I can't go. Not today.
Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's
highly
worrisome.
Concerning.
Yeah,
Concerning.
Highly concerning. And then we're getting ahead of ourselves, but man, DeMar looks a little older this year, without Zach. Zach's not on the floor now. Now everybody's going through DeMar, and we're asking him for a bucket every other possession. It's it could get tough. But yes, it's very concerning with the LaVine thing coming up.
And my key to the season, and he was already the key to the season with the Zoe injury, but now even more with the uncertainty around Zach. Ayo has to go from feel-good story to legitimate
Russell Westbrook.
Oklahoma
City Westbrook.
Starting point guard who is an actual guy. Again, I know he has it in him. We saw a lot of flashes last year, but even when you look at the numbers by the time the season was over, I think it was 11-3. It wasn't anything that's going to blow your mind. He's got to make a massive year 2 leap. The team needs him to make a massive year 2 leap. And the other guy who needs to make a massive leap is the number 4 overall pick in the draft from 3 years ago, Patrick Williams. I'm sick of people telling me the things he can do. I'm sick of people telling me the versatility that he adds. Man, fuck all that. You were the number 4 pick in the draft. this is your year. We get you were hurt last year, but it's not like you came out to start the season that great. We were still talking about the same things as being too timid, kind of what is this guy? He's got to be a guy. Like, you have to be a guy this year. You have to be someone that this team can rely on. So I think if Ayo and Pat Williams step up, we'll be okay while we're waiting for Zach and Zoe. And I'm dubious on Zoe even playing this year, for being completely honest. That injury is bad. I don't think we're getting the full story on his knee.
The injury is bad because no one knows what's wrong with it.
No one knows what's wrong with it. He's had surgery after surgery, and it's not fixing it.
And it's fixed, and it's waiting for him to get back. They don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
It's that one. Yeah.
Really bad. And he's obviously a major key. And I heard someone say, like, oh, well, Zach's just like, or Zoe's a role player. It's like, you don't watch the Bulls. You didn't watch the Bulls and Lonzo Ball. Yeah, you don't watch basketball. And you didn't watch the Bulls when Lonzo Ball was on this roster. He's one of our better shooters, if not our best shooter. He's our best perimeter defender. And he runs the show and runs the fast break. And when the Bulls were at their best in the first half of the year last year, it was because Zoe was doing things. Zoe and Caruso were doing things on the defensive end and following it up with some great offense. So I think you're not going to be able to recreate that with Ayo. But Ayo and Pat Williams got to step up, man. Like, major. Because, like you said, DeMar's another year older. Yeah. It's 100% a tall ass.
For a second-year guy. We were half joking around last year. Like, if this team didn't have Ayo last year, they don't make the playoffs.
No.
They just don't. Like, he had a big impact across the board last year. So, yeah, hopefully, he could take that next step and is that guy. And him and Pat are the young foundation that we need. Pat,
where are you on Pat Williams, man? I know you're a big mental guy.
Pat looked a little more aggressive in the preseason. I don't know, man. I tried not to. I don't want a blanket statement him, but I mean, from what I've seen from him, I'm not very encouraged. We'll see what it looks like this year, coming into year 3. But we'll see. Like, he's going to have an opportunity. There's going to be an opportunity for him to, get shots up, do his thing. I would not call
this a ringing endorsement of the Pat Williams year 3
yeah,
project by you.
Not disappear. Yes, but yeah. I'm hopeful. You know me, man. I like to see shit on the floor. Everybody loves Keegan Murray. He's Summer League MVP. Like, let me see that motherfucker all week one.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
The streets are littered with Summer League MVPs. Trust me.
Like,
and a lot of them aren't playing in the NBA. I can show you some Summer League guys who've lit it up. Yeah.
I get it. Paolo, I can't wait to see him on a nightly basis. Like, let's see if this 7-foot frame, essentially, and the big body is going to transfer and do it in the league. I love Jaden Ivey. Let's see how it looks in Detroit. Sure. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of this stuff. I try not to, but I've seen some of Pat, and mentally young dude, super young dude.
It's also year 3 in the NBA, though.
Yeah, it's year 3.
Been around.
Okay, let me be clear before we move on or get out of here, whatever we're gonna do. Pat Williams, I'm not asking to score 25, 9, and 6.
Yeah.
Be aggressive, run the floor, be involved, make defensive plays, rebound, and then shoot shots that you're supposed to within the offense. You're going to get looks. Don't pass them up. Don't be scared to fire. That's what I want to see from Pat. I need 8 rebounds. He's too much of a physical freak to not rebound. That's it. And rebounding in the NBA is not all that difficult until the fourth quarter. People don't even box out till the fourth quarter.
Right.
So
it's a will stat.
You're really not involved in the game if you're a guy playing 35 minutes, 1 board. That's it. So that's how I feel about Pat Williams. I hope he's really. I hope he does. Do his thing. But overall, man, we looked so bad last year without Lonzo that I'm nervous coming into the year without Lonzo again, and now our maybe our best pure scorer next to 1A, next to DeMar 1B or whatever, is now having problems on a new deal with no motivation to really get back and grind it out. That's just the reality of it. So we'll see. Should we talk NFL or we got to get out of here? You got to get out of here.
I got a few minutes to do if you want to do the extensions, love it or hate it.
Yeah. Let's definitely do that. I would love to do that, actually.
I'm going to throw you a few of these extensions. So obviously NBA extension deadline passed on Monday. This is for players who were drafted 2019 to sign extensions on their rookie deals with their current teams. So I'm going to throw you a couple that did sign, then I'm going to throw you a couple that didn't sign, and just give me a quick couple minutes on how you feel. Yeah. First, DeAndre Hunter, 4 years, $95 million from the Atlanta Hawks. This one stuck out at me.
Yeah, I really like it. When he played for them, he made a big impact across the board. He can shoot it as well. It's interesting with him and I'm blanking on his name. Who signed
John
tatted
Collins.
Up? Yeah,
John Collins,
it's interesting when they play together. That whole roster construction is
very interesting.
They lost Herter. So DeJounte
Herter got paid, right?
Yeah, Herter's in Sacramento, I believe. And that whole roster construction is very interesting. We know how Trey gets down. I wonder if there's ever an opportunity or ever a spot where Murray's like, dude, this is the most inefficient guy I've ever played basketball in my time.
He's coming from San Antonio, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And if that starts to frustrate him a little bit, like, man, this dude is like, what's our guy Edder's biggest thing? Like, dude, Trey Young would be a nightmare to play with.
Yeah, he always talks about it.
He talks about that every single opportunity he gets. I wonder if DeJounte is like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I'm a point guard, and this is not how you play basketball. And a lot of the shit that Trey's doing is kind of off the wall. But yeah, I like him. They need him. He's an NBA. He's a prototypical NBA guy. He's young. He runs the floor, plays D, can shoot it a little bit.
And he plays D. And I think the biggest thing that they need, you hit on that as far as playing D, they need defenders around Trey. If you're going to have Trey Young playing 40 minutes a night in your basketball team, you better surround him with guys that can get stops because he is not that. I got one that I know you're gonna love, but we gotta give him respect. Tyler Hero, 4 years, $130 million.
Man, shout out, man. Big ups, Tyler Hero, man. Big Nick the Click said it. Big Nick the Click said it first. It's like, look, if there's ever a time where you think you can't be yourself and succeed, see Tyler Hero. Go look up the Tyler Hero story.
Come on,
go look up the Tyler Hero story. Yeah, I love that, man. He's in an absolutely phenomenal spot with the Heat and Spo. They love him. He comes off. This is what happened with Tyler Hero. An already confident individual gets to a spot that instilled more confidence in him and trusted him and gave him the rock, and he ran with it, and that's why he looks like that. He didn't get in the spot where they tried to change him or do anything. They instilled more confidence in a guy that was already extremely confident. And now he's cooking. And that's what he did last year. Jimmy, and you could go back to Jimmy Butler showing him love, wearing his jersey, instilling that love for him. Like, yo, I know you're a young guy, but you're here. We got you. Go out and do your thing. Be yourself in Miami, and we'll win games. And that's exactly what he did. He really came into himself last year. Yeah, man, it's a great deal for Tyler. I love that he stayed in Miami. It's a good spot, and he could play. Period. He could play.
Period. That's it. Absolutely. 6th man of the year. Huge part of what they do has gotten better every year. We could cut back to that clip that Sean had about the Tyler Hero year 2 and just how life kind of happened for him. And we get it. You know what I mean? But young Tyler straightened it out, man. Yeah. Young Tyler straightened it out. So he's making Eder eat his words every day. All right. I got a guy who didn't sign one. Cam Johnson.
Yeah. That's another thing that we were talking about in Phoenix. He's not. I don't know the detail. I'm not going to come up here and say I don't know what they were offering him or what he was looking for, but
sure.
I don't want to say he's replaceable, but he's in a good spot too. I talk about this all the time with certain situations where if you're going to leave that situation, you better make sure wherever you're going is a better one, and it's worth the extra $7-8 million that you want.
Sure.
Got a good coach in Monty. You got a young superstar in Devin. I know Chris is still old, but Bridges re-signed. They got a lot of young talent in a good spot, young core. Is you keep fucking around, you're gonna get $8 million less and end up in Charlotte. And is it worth that? You know, that's what I always think about. No, but that shit's a disaster down there, man.
For sure.
Like it's a disaster. Shout out Terry. Shout out Scary Terry though.
Yeah, Terry Rozier is still getting out here with buckets.
I think that's tough. I don't know the details on what he was asking for because he might not deserve that shit, to be completely honest. Like he didn't make that big of an impact. He was good off the bench for them, can shoot corner threes. I get the whole thing, but it all depends on what he was asking for. But yeah, that's another story in Phoenix.
2 more and we'll get out of here. And we'll obviously end on the Bulls one, but last one before that. And I love this one because I love this guy. I love this guy last year. Brandon Clark, 4 years, $52 million with the Memphis Grizzlies. Brandon Clark at $13 million a year. I'm okay with it.
No, it's super solid.
Fits into their roster perfectly.
I was just gonna say that's their whole roster. Like this guy's solid. You know what I'm saying? Like
very solid. And that's a good number. 13 million. That's a good number.
This dude's solid. That's what I'm saying. Like the whole Bane coming on, Ja, that whole culture over there is very well. He fits in, and for 13, yeah, I'll take it. I need to watch more of the Grizzlies too.
He's not going to get much better, but with what he is already, I like it. There's a lot of energy, hustle, defense. Does some nice things for him. And last one, we'll end it with, I wasn't clamoring for this guy to get an extension. I don't even know if the Bulls sat down with him. Did the Bulls sit down with Kobe White?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I feel like he's an impossible player. First off, but what are we even talking about here?
Yeah, my guess, and this is not like some me and Nick inside information type shit. My guess would be no, because I think he barely made the Karnisovas first cut. You feel me?
Hey, we're not trying to extend you. We're trying to get rid of
you. You almost didn't. You almost weren't on the team last year. So we're definitely not trying to talk to you about an extension. Let's get another year of you in the fold. He should get an opportunity. He's going to get minutes. I just,
and it's crazy. We just had that whole thing on guards and didn't even mention him. That's how much of a non-factor he's been for the Bulls.
Yeah. There's no reason to extend him. Why would you extend him?
Why would you? Yeah.
For what?
100% prove it guy.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't, and that it's such an interesting, like, for example, someone asked me before the NFL season started, what does Daniel Jones need to do to get an extension with the Giants? And I said, there is nothing he can do. He will not, no matter what the fuck he does, he is not going to be on the Giants next year. That's my opinion. I don't care.
I think he'll be on the team.
No, I don't think he's going to be. I don't know the detail. Well, he's not going to. They didn't pick up his 5th year.
They didn't pick up his 5th year, right?
They didn't pick up his 5th year. So unless he re-signs on he's going to re-sign on a 2-year.
But it's also like, who's going to pay him? You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like Brian Daboll's a new coach. I don't think there's anything they would. I truly think if the Giants are 4-2 right now. No, they're 4-1.
5-1, I think, aren't they? Yeah, they're 5-1. They're
5-1.
Yeah,
they can win 12, 13 games. I think they're going to try to go get another quarterback. So that's my opinion. So that's kind of how I feel about Kobe. For him to get an extension, he would have to have such a ridiculous year this year, and I don't see where that would come from or why I would believe that would happen.
Yeah, I fully agree on that. I have no hope for Kobe White all of a sudden turning into a guy that you want to extend long term. He's way too inconsistent. Too many things he doesn't do well, and even the things he does do well, he doesn't always do them well. So I had a lot of hope for Kobe White when we brought him in, but yeah.
You know what's interesting about those two dudes on our roster is they're very quiet and not a lot of emotion. Pat Williams and Kobe White. It doesn't do, and I'll even speak for Chicago. It doesn't do much for like a fan base like Chicago.
Yeah,
we much rather and gravitate towards a guy like Pat Beverly, who can't really do all that much, but is high energy, in your face, versus a guy that's solid but is super quiet and like it's kind of like blah, you know? It's a very forgettable type of situation. You know what, bro? Maybe Javonte Green just takes over and takes us to the title.
That's another one of your Sean Little.
Maybe Javonte just shows up. Maybe Javonte just comes into his own and he takes us. We win the East.
Hey, listen, man, I like Javonte Green.
Shout out Javonte, man. Maybe Javonte will just go for like 25 a night. play D. He'll just start going crazy all of a sudden. But
yeah,
man, that's how I feel about Kobe. Pat, same thing. He's kind of just blah. He doesn't make that big of an impact emotionally in the locker room, energy. Like it's just like a lot of nothing. So
I agree.
Yeah, no, 100%. He was never getting an extension. I don't even if Kobe White's agent called Connor Sowers sent it to voicemail.
100%.
In my opinion,
calling for it. Yeah.
Who? Yeah, no. We can play that. We can play this year out.
We're good. Yeah.
and see what's going on. So that's it, my G. That's it for B and Big Nick the Quick. All NBA, man. I was planning on talking some NFL Week 7, but we ran 120. We easily could have went 2 and broke down some NFL as well. But people got to go to work. People got scratch to make. You know what I mean?
Man. Don't worry. We got plenty of NFL content coming up, man.
Yeah.
Bears Patriots on Monday Night Football. My only comment on that was get the Bears off primetime. I'm good. I don't need to see any more primetime Chicago Bears.
Yeah, really quick, man. That makes a difference on the narratives and everything. Yeah. You're seeing it live with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. It's the Heat.
Every game they've played has been a primetime game.
It's 10 times hotter because they're on primetime so much.
I think all but one of their games have been a primetime game.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Game, yeah. Think about this. Across all the talk about the Broncos and their struggles, you haven't heard anyone talk about their loss to the Raiders, really, because it was off prime time. It was a noon. It was a 3:00 start. No one even talked about it. Every time someone brings up a game that Russell Wilson played or that game, it's about all the primetime games. It's it's almost like the Vegas Raiders game didn't even happen. So yeah. It's tough to play on prime time, and especially when you're struggling like the Bears and the Broncos are. And yeah, we're right back on Monday night coming off of a Patriots team that Bailey Zappi all of a sudden is solid, and they're coming off a big win on the road. They go back home. Bill Belichick versus Justin Fields.
Oh, Bailey Zappi. Hey, Mac Jones doing this right now.
They said I just saw. Take it with a grain of salt. Out of Barstool Sports, they said Mac Jones. They said that he needs to pipe down. Organization said he needs to pipe down. He's feeling himself too much. Something of that sort.
Oh, really, Mac Jones?
Yeah. I'll send you the link.
I need to see that.
I'll send you the link when we hop off. But for Big Nick the Quick, I am your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe everywhere, man. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. We're across the board everywhere. Lock in with us. Tell a friend to tell a homie to tell a friend. Sean Little, Big Nick the Quick, Nick Harvey. We'll talk to y'all next week.